Welcome to our new podcast on Leading Change. My name is Joanne Tan, and I'm the founder and director of Plus Acumen, the World School for Social Change. On Leading Change is an interview series I host with social entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs in our community who are finding innovative ways to tackle problems of poverty and social justice. Today's interview is with Diana Sierra, the co-founder and CEO of B-Girl, a social enterprise focused on helping girls, especially those who live in low-income communities, get access to the proper products with which to manage their menstrual hygiene. Diana and I covered a lot of ground in our conversation, including how she transitioned from being an industrial designer to starting a social enterprise, her philosophy around designing products for girls in low-income communities, and how her designs have evolved over time, B-Girl's evolving business model, and Diana's advice for social entrepreneurs. Diana is incredibly energetic, and a single question about her journey to get B-Girl started set her off. I hope you enjoy this interview. I'm so glad, and I'm so thrilled to get to talk. Really, thank you for jumping in here.
Seriously, the one that should be thrilled is me. So thank you, Joanne, seriously for giving me the opportunity to speak about our work, because it's not always that you get this type of platforms to really share what we do. This is amazing.
And I'm hoping to both talk about your work, a little bit about the lessons that you've learned in starting up a social enterprise, as well as your journey. I feel like I know about the different points in your journey from the research that I've done, but I haven't quite heard the story of how they all connect, and I'm sure it's going to be an inspiration, I think, for people.
Well, I think the most important thing is to understand the kind of like the point of view that I come from as a professional. I am an industrial designer, and sometimes for people it's just hard to understand what that is. And basically, it's just a career where people make products for mass market. So basically, if a product is really well designed, you didn't even notice that somebody was thinking and giving it a thought in what type of curves and how you're going to see it or how you're going to grab something. So for the last 12 years, I had been working in that space. I was really fortunate to land my first job here in New York, and I worked with design firms like Smart Design, Frog. Later on, transitioned to work in projects for Nike, Hewlett Packard, Panasonic, Playtex. That's kind of like my background. So what happened is that in 2011, I kind of like hit a very interesting point in my career where I knew as a designer, I was very successful. I was able to work with all these very, good brands, but personally, I felt kind of empty. And I think that's something that a lot of the entrepreneurs, at least in the social space, we have in common, and is this sense of purpose. So the thing that I did when I felt, that I was kind of like, making all these products that, yes, they were giving me a really cool lifestyle, economically wise, but they were just more products that probably were not helping a lot of people. So I went back to do a master's in sustainability management at Columbia. And honestly, Joanne, my whole point was just to learn how to do better products, but the regular products that I was doing, just, better towards the environment, and just kind of like stop feeling as guilty as I was of just putting stuff out there.
Right.
But the beautiful thing is that in Columbia, the program that I went to, it's from the Earth Institute, and in Columbia you just have access to absolutely anything you want to, stick your nose into. You have access to every single class, and just by chance, I happened to tap into one from a different program that it was focused on. It was a master's on development. And that's, Joanne, how I learned that actually you go to the university, or at least to study development. And it's really funny because coming from a developing country, you just don't, it's just funny to see that there's actually people going to the university to learn how is it that you develop. So for me, that was really interesting, because that was my eye-opening to the situation in the world, what we call poverty and what poverty means. because
through that course in development, or
yeah, those classes. I mean, because as I said before, I come from a developing country, and you heard about poverty and you know that you're a developing country, but poverty means so many things in so many ways. You know, poverty, it's a number, but certainly when you go to these classes, you understand that poverty is kids that are dying from pneumonia because they are breathing fumes from an open fire. Poverty is those kids who are dying from diarrhea just because they don't have a source of safe water. So when you put poverty in that context, at least to me, it was a shocking moment, because for me, poverty was poverty in design. The fact that kids, they cannot access safe energy sources to study at night, and they are burned with kerosene. The fact that those kids die from pneumonia, all those things could be easily solved with products that are designed for those particular audiences. So for me, it was a huge kind of like a breaking point in my career. In particular, the issue of the cook stoves. So when presented with the opportunity to do a practicum or like an internship per se, I decided to work with UNDP in projects of women empowerment in Uganda. I mean, my practicum was supposed to be with Coca-Cola, but I say, you know what? Forget about it. I think I can do way better in a setting where I see all this, inequalities happening, and see what an industrial designer can do in such a landscape. And so I packed my stuff, and I was supposed to be in Uganda for 2 months.
Right.
And I end up staying 11.
You stayed for 11 months?
Yeah.
All with UNDP or on your own?
Yeah. No, with UNDP and Millennium Promise. The whole process was to be there and work for 2 months in Uganda in projects of women empowerment, basically focus on head of a household, farmers and artisans. But while I was working there, with the artisan groups, we actually got the opportunity to bid for a project for Tommy Hilfiger. So I took charge of creating a whole portfolio of arts and crafts to supply, honestly, like stores all over the world, to be able to, provide them with jewelry and accessories for something that was called the Promise Collection. Fantastic project. It was like a huge stroke of luck. So why is this important? Because since I was running this kind of like a manufacturing, line of jewelry and baskets and all these things, we started like growing a team that it was probably just like 10 women to a group that it was like 40 in Uganda. Then we had another group that was 60 in Rwanda, and so on. But when you have something like this very successful running around, a lot of people come just to learn how to do the craft and be part of the income generating group.
Yep.
And that's how I became aware of the whole issue of girls and the menstruation, how menstruation poses so many hurdles, because we were doing all these workshops and we were getting girls by the bunch, Joanne. I mean, we're talking about girls that were like barely 12 years old, like 12, 13, just knocking the door, asking if they could be part of the cooperative. And you just can't get girls at that age in those programs because they are UN programs. So it was clearly, literally, I just couldn't. There are girls that are supposed to be in school. But what do you do when you have to face a situation like this? So I literally just opened classes after church on Sundays to be able to teach those girls and give them materials and everything over there. But then I really started talking to the school teacher, and I say, hey, listen, I have this group of girls which are clearly, 12, 13, 14 years old, asking for employment opportunities when they should be in school. I managed to open a class on Sundays, but tell me what's going on, why they are not coming to class. And the teacher, by the time, her name was Penina, she told me, well, Diana, what happens is that at least in rural Uganda, 40% of the girls, when they start facing their changes, their body changes, and they have their period, they start dropping out of school. And she explained the whole process. It's not that you just drop out of school the first day you get your period and that's it. No, it's just that you start missing classes every month, 4 or 5 days. So if you put all those days together, easily they are a quarter of your school year. In Uganda in particular, school fees are expensive.
Right.
And if you don't perform, then your parents can easily just tell you, oh, you are not performing anymore and your education level is going down. We're just going to take you out of the school and put you to work. And that's the reality of many girls, that they really, I mean, it's not that they're not performing, it's that they literally just don't have the way to keep up with the workload if you are every month you're being out for like a quarter of the month. So it was very tough, Joanne. And for me as a woman and as a designer, it was just shocking because literally girls are being singled out of the very basic opportunity to literally break poverty traps just because of their gender.
Right. And they have lack of access to proper products with which to manage their sort of menstrual hygiene each month. That was the...
Exactly. They, when I started asking the girls, I mean, they were using pieces of like torn clothes, newspapers, toilet paper, anything absorbent that they can get a hand on, like pieces of mattresses. It was just a very difficult situation to face because, and sometimes even if a sanitary pad is accessible or managed to make it to the trading post, it doesn't mean that it's accessible economically wise.
Got it. And so it really moved you and you went ahead and just started a social enterprise? You decided?
No, it really moved me. And literally what I did is what industrial designers or designers do, which is we make stuff. So literally, when you're a designer, like at least in the type of field that I work, you take like problems from one side of your head and then in the other side you turn products. So that's how you solve life at least in my career. You take problems and you turn it into products that can address those problems. So for me, the very first thing to do was to take a look of a disposable sanitary pad and analyze the construction and the functionality and just try to mimic or hack it literally with material that I have handy. So in a disposable sanitary pad, you have a waterproof layer on the bottom, a permeable top, and an absorbent material in the core. So what I did is I took an umbrella, which I put apart to take the water repellent material to put it on the bottom. Then I took a mosquito net from my, one of those that I have hanging in the place that I was working, took it and literally with both of them, I stitched them together and created a pocket that you can fill with absolutely any type of absorbent material. So that was my hack on trying to replicate the benefits of a disposable with reusable materials.
Oh my goodness. And then you gave it out to the girls, and what was their reaction? So what did you learn?
Yeah, so I did the first prototype, went to the school teacher, told them about the idea, and we did couple tests right there. So she gave me the go ahead to just go and go to the market, and of course not to buy a bunch of umbrellas, but like the proper fabric. And I did kits for 50 girls. So I went there to the school. We showed them the idea, and I said it was really funny because I had to create this panties out of like very thick paper just to show them how the product works. And it was just like a really blast of like, smiles and everything, because I guess it's like the very first time that girls were talking about these issues, like, in a safe space. So we give them a survey, like to have a baseline and understand the current situation. So we gave away the pads for them to try. And something really important is that I told the girls that this was something that we were going to develop together. And that was so important for me to make emphasis on that, because I wanted them to be fully open and honest when they were giving me the feedback, to make sure that we were doing things in products that girls will love. To to my not surprise, because girls always and users, they never stop amazing you. But after the 6 months that we were doing this test, the thing that really, shocked me to the ground was the fact that girls love the technology itself. The fact that they could literally just put absolutely anything in this wonder pocket that attaches to their panties. But the thing that most of their feedback was the color. And my first prototypes, they were made black in the
right.
Yeah, I mean, I made them black because you're talking about menstruation, so you want a color that can hide it. And all girls will saying that they will love these pads to be colorful, puppy, girly, like flashy. And you start like thinking, of course, I mean, they're girls. They starting to see this object more as a fashion statement, like as a fashion piece more than anything else. And of course they wanted it to be fun and beautiful. So I think as an industrial designer, or like somebody who's creating products, being able to give the user the opportunity and the window to corroborate and to help you shape what is it that they want is extremely important.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, because I have seen your products online, and they are definitely beautiful. And so you've sort of taken the feedback and really tried to design what you're thinking is a product that anybody would want.
Yes, and actually, the reason, and we never stopped there. I mean, like we did, then after having the first pads, then we had a second generation of pads that they were actually purple, and they have instructions printed on the back because, of course, girls didn't want to have a loose page with the instructions. They wanted those drawings and those instructions printed on the pad so they will always know and remember how to use it. We changed some colors. The reason why we choose, we always work in colors like purple and blue is because when you mix red and purple, red and blue, you create purple. So it's always trying to, play with the blood in a way that is not shouting, that is actually part of the whole experience. So one of the things that is really interesting is that as we keep working in the development side, we find out that a lot of the places that we were taking this second pilots, girls were facing even more difficult situations. Like in the north of Tanzania, a lot of the girls just did not have underwear, period. So you were coming with this sanitary pads and they just don't have anywhere where to put them. So we started thinking, okay, yes, we have a solution, but this is a solution that is probably halfway. So we started just developing the same construction, the pocket, but instead of having the shape of a pad, we designed it in a shape of a panty. But everything in the panty has every curve, every material has a purpose. The reason why we have this lace in the top part is because it's extremely stretchy and allows the product, for the life of the product that is approximately 2 years, to be able to grow with the body of the girl. Also, we use dry fit materials for the main component of the fabric because we know girls don't dry this type of products outdoors. So you need something that is super easy to wash and dry so it doesn't grow any mildew and it stays clean. We also knew that girls, even if you want them to change the filler every 4 hours, as we recommend, the reality is that they don't have toilets where they go to school. So we created a product with a pocket like substantial enough to hold a pretty significant portion of fabric so they can be for 8 hours straight without going to the bathroom, fully protected. So you don't get to do these things out of the blue. You need to make sure that you're always asking girls and always giving them the space to express how they feel in relation to the product, in relation to themselves. And I think that's why the human focus, or like the human-centered design aspect of creating technologies and products to really serve users. Now, I'm not saying users at the base of the pyramid of the top, but just users overall. It's so important. It's really important to have that clear. I mean, the fact that somebody income is low, it doesn't mean that their aspirations are low or what they the spectrum, their products are low. Everybody can be like shooting for the stars, regardless of the amount of money that they have on their pocket. So that same rigor that we use to design a pretty sophisticated laptop here in New York, we should use the type of learning and that type of methodologies to develop products for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's definitely one of the things that Acumen has learned over the course of investing in many different companies that serve low-income people around the world. I think one part that I'm really curious about is, I read on your website, and this number may be out of date, but that you've reached at least 9,000 girls around the world?
At this point, we already have distributed more than 20,000 products, and those have been a mix of sanitary pads and panties, and this is our stage that it was more development. So we literally just started to be commercially available last October, November. So all those distributions and all those kind of like outreach has been only in our beta mode. So we're very positive, and we hope that now that we finish all the R&D stage, we will be able to come to the market as a social enterprise. I think really important to explain why we are a social enterprise and not an NGO is because what we're trying to solve is a failure in the market. The fact that still disposable sanitary pads are not accessible to this particular population or segment of the market, it's an issue. And there are several ways to solve it. You could make ultra cheap disposables, or you can make super high performance reusables as cool as disposables. So there are different ways that you can beat on this problem. But I think that the most important thing that we are all doing is trying to shake the market and the status quo. And to do so, you have to do it with all the tools and learnings from enterprises. So that's why we decided to be a social enterprise, because more than creating just a sanitary pad or a panty, we're really trying to create more a brand that stands for quality and stands for equality, a brand that through design, it's looking to change all these very dark taboos and negative conversations about what is having your period, what is menstruation and being a woman or a girl, into good and positive conversations. And design is critical for this, Joanne, because products, objects are vessels of knowledge, are vessels of culture, and they can teach you new behaviors. They can give you new ways of seeing things. So in the same way that people have been changing paradigms in so many other areas, why not change the negative conversation around menstruation for a positive one through objects? And we have seen this really clear through our work and the surveys and the information that we have gathered. And the fact that a girl had been always told that she's cursed or that her period is that she's sick and all these negative things, the fact that she's getting a beautiful product that she could be, proud and feel celebrated in a way, it matters. Because right now, just because you happen to be a girl is that you're getting this product. So it's changing the whole mentality. So I really like to say this piece because this conversation goes way beyond just pads or panties. It's about changing consumer behavior through design.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And are you giving the products away to girls right now, or are they actually purchasing them on the market? How are you actually getting them into the hands of girls?
So basically, our business model is a hybrid of a hybrid, and you're still gonna be a hybrid by the time that we start figuring out like how is it that you get to the base of the pyramid. And the reason I'm saying this is because we're trying absolutely everything to understand what will be the best mechanism. So we were in the R&D phase all 2015 because we were finalizing the design of the panty, and this type of products, they take a lot of time to develop, not because they're really complex, it's because you only use them once a month. So you need to leave at least 8 months to do a decent trial. So you have at least, 4 to 6 cycles in between, because girls are pretty regular at that age. So for us, all the distribution of the product that we have done so far, it has been either because they have been given away or sponsored. So we had a lot of donations that we have been able to use towards schools. And also we had some NGOs who purchased their products for their particular programs on the ground. So our idea is to be able to sell commercially and do it through the organizations that serve the base of the pyramid, like DKT, PSI, Living Goods, like all that social marketing networks. That's what's going to be our target. We're still going to serve NGOs who wants to purchase the products to give them away, because even if we're trying to target the base of the pyramid, there's still a whole population that lives below that. And there's no other way to reach them than through those social programs. But our idea is to be able to put in the market a product that is an alternative to disposables, that is an alternative to actually the current reusables, that a lot of them, they have some design flaws, and just make sure that we are a player more in the market, shaking it and shaping and really like moving up the standards of what reusable products and menstrual products should be.
I think that's an amazing ambition. And I guess the question is, let's say we could put an ask out to our community to support you in some way. Where do you think that people might be able to help you?
I think, something really important to say before the ask is that we did not stop in creating a product for Africa. I mean, we really, out of respect and empathy and also just pure, respect, we actually decided to launch the product as a global brand. And not saying that because a technology was born out of a scarcity, it has to stay like that. We create products that are beautiful. We create products that are for womankind. So the same quality product that we're planning to deploy for Africa is the same quality product that you can get here in the US. And this is really important, Joanne, because with all respect to other views in this very sensitive topic, I honestly think that we should design for women, period. You shouldn't have those distinctions between the class of product that you get here or what you will get in Colombia, Peru, or in Kenya. So the way that people can support us is you can go to our website. You can either sponsor girls, you can buy the panties for yourself and give some away as well. You can buy panties by the bunch and you can carry them in a super cool bag and do your own intervention if you go on a trip. We have several schools that have done fundraisings, and basically what they do is they gather all the funds that they want for a school they want to sponsor in Cameroon, and later on they just go and travel with all the school panties and do the workshop and intervention. So there are several ways that they can literally help. I mean, and give us the feedback and let us know how do you feel about it. Let us know if you like the product or not, if you're willing to trade your tampons or not. Everything you can share with us through your own personal experience help us, because at the end, that's what we are, a design firm. And we want to make sure that as much as people as possible try our product in any way or platform possible.
That's great. So there's elements about your business model and distribution model that sound a little bit like the sort of you buy one and they give one away. So the 1-for-1 model that has sometimes received some criticism from people, saying that you are giving away products in these markets and it's actually destroying the local economy. It doesn't help small businesses grow. It feels like actually from the research that I've done that you've thought about this and tried to figure it out. I was just curious if you could tell us about how you're solving that piece of it.
I fully agree with you because I mean, the fact that we do this buy one, give one is not our whole entire model. We basically, as I said before, they are people that live below the base of the pyramid. And no matter if you just make the product for a penny, you will just not be able to reach them. And for that particular population, we created the buy one, give one program, because basically what we do is we take all those panties that have been either donated or through the purchase of other B-Girl products, they go into this hub, which is called the Empower Bank. And the Empower Bank is a bank that all transactions are done in panties. So we have a reservoir of panties that basically we can allocate to schools that go through our program. They register in the program. They tell us about the activities that they're doing currently with the girls, with the boys as well. And we make sure that we do a very good due diligence process, and we allocate those panties through those programs. And it's super important because we not only allocate panties, but part of the process is that with them, we have a baseline and an end line as well. And this allows us to understand the situation on the ground, also show them a delta of change so they have information in their hands to later on go and fundraise for this type of activities and initiatives in menstrual management, because we do have the infrastructure to help put that data into like real facts that they later on can go and build on that information. And at the same time, it helps us create a map of the status of menstruation in different parts of the world. So that's the beautiful thing about having a global brand, that you don't have to get fixed in just one area. We have information from the Solomon Islands, where we actually knew that girls were using sea sponge for putting inside the panties as an absorbent material. We have information from Sierra Leone, from Marruecos, we have information from Ethiopia, Ghana. We have information from we actually have information from the Amazons right now. So this global this global structure allow us to get to so many places at a really like cost efficient way, just by using those networks that we're building through this Empower Bank.
That's great. Yeah, we will be sure to include a link in the write-up so that people know where to find that. There's a little bit of a leap that we've sort of taken in your journey, where you were, I guess, trying to hack products together for the community, and all of a sudden at some point you decided this was going to become like a real thing, right? You're going to start a social enterprise, you're going to co-found it, be a CEO. And I'm interested in that part of the journey a little bit, because when I talk to different people across our community, I think a lot of them have felt the same sort of emptiness in some point in their life, in their work or careers, and they want to do more, but they always feel like they're just not ready yet. They're not qualified. They can always learn more. They might need to earn more money, gain more awards. And I guess the question is, how did you decide that you were like ready to do this work and to make this leap?
So when I finished all this work after the 11 months that I was working in Uganda, the first thing I did is, with all these prototypes and all this data, I started knocking the door of several NGOs that they were working with girls. And I was literally just offering them the project, literally like, take this, I developed this technology. This is a show of impact that it does work. Will you be interested in develop it? And from all the doors that I knocked, literally, Joanne, I didn't got a yes. It was like, everybody was like, oh, we're not working in that space, or that's not our core, or we don't have grant money for that. So I was so upset in a way. Like, I was so upset that, I literally said, I'm just going to do it myself. If nobody wants to do this, then I'm going to do it myself. And I was fortunate enough to find somebody as crazy and passionate about this topic as me, who is my co-founder, Pablo Front, who is a finance guy. You can imagine, he comes from a very different background, but he's equally passionate about it. And we were talking back at our university, because we did the masters together. And we were just having this conversation and talking about these issues. And he said, you know what, I think that what you're doing is really cool and I really want to help. And literally just everything started like that. Okay, let's make this happen then. At that point, I just had a prototype, and I had a prototype that has been tested. But going from a prototype to a product to a company, that thing is a huge amount of work. So we started working together, and we find out that a lot of the times people in the same situation like us, what they do is they start to get into an incubator.
Right.
So we did our homework and started looking left and right, and we found an incubator in DC ballsy enough to give us a shot. And that incubator is called Halcyon Incubator. They are based in Georgetown, and is like the most crazy and amazing place that I could ever imagine. I mean, I had this idea of being an incubator to be kind of like a, just like in a room with like some people, letting you use a space. I mean, this incubator is definitely like, I don't know, like the Ferrari of incubators. You have amazing people just coming and giving you advice. Deloitte for strategy. You have a whole pool of lawyers to help you find out what's the best structure you need, and everything without taking a penny of equity of whatever that you manage to brew out of that.
Right. That's great. And then that is how B-Girl was born?
In a way, yes, because, it's that's part of the whole catalytic thing. We also, with Pablo, we started like writing about our work, and we were very fortunate that in one of our critical piece that we put for the Huffington Post, we got somebody who listened to our story and said, you know what, guys, you should put that in the Huffington Post, that you managed to hack a sanitary pad out of an umbrella and a mosquito net, like, MacGyver style. That's like really cool. So we put together the work that we were doing, and we found an angel investor from Sweden, who thought that what we were doing was extremely interesting. This person has previously supported work in girls development, but did it more as a to NGOs or grant based. And she thought that our idea of doing our work as a social enterprise was worthy, and gave us the first seed investment. With that seed investment, we managed to go through all 2015 and part of 2014, developing the team and also finalizing the patent. We actually decided to pursue a patent right after we got all the no, we don't want to work on this. So we said, okay, what are we going to do with? We start with a patent. So we did all that legal part. We incorporated the company, and we started kind of like setting the precedent for our first kind of like a funding round. We just did with a convertible note. So yeah, we just finished that 3 months ago, and we're right now doing a pretty deep process of like understanding all what we went, all the stuff that we have went through, and doing kind of like a strategic planning of what is it that we want B-Girl to be and get ready for Series A. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done right now with all what we have learned. But the thing that I'm more excited is that we right now have partnerships with DKT, which is this very important social marketing based NGO that we're going to start working together with them to really start, getting the products in the ground through like commercial way. So that's something that I'm super excited.
Oh, wow. That will be very exciting. It sounds like you've gone through already so much, and you're getting ready for the next phase of growth, which is really thrilling to hear. I was as you were talking about just kind of making all the transitions you've made, and it feels like it's quite a number of transitions throughout. I was curious to know if you've heard anybody sort of try and discourage you, or detractors, and what have they said, and what are some of the things that you've heard and had to try and find a way to work through?
The comment that I found the most difficult was from actually somebody who knew me from my childhood. And that person knows that I went to college and I did all my career based on scholarships, because I actually come from a very humble background. And she told me, because it was a woman, which is even more discouraging, like, Diana, you fought so hard to get out of the hole to put yourself in a bigger one. And I felt so sad that somebody, like, yes, I did fought really hard to make something out of myself, to go to college and be able to have a future. But I never see myself as, quitting Panasonic and doing all this fancy consumer electronics to do panties as going into a hole. And believe me that sometimes that's, just one of the comments that you get. People just think, people don't understand sometimes that satisfaction, career-wise or personally-wise, come from so many different angles. And it was just tough, but you have to understand that not everybody gets measured with the same ruler. And what really matters is your ruler. So what is success for you? What is being happy for you? And just make sure that you stick to your guns and make it happen. This project is started just with one person that happens just to put apart together an umbrella and a mosquito. But we're a team, and we have a team of people that is ordinary people with extraordinary dreams, just making this happen. So just the fact that you're able to team up with people with the same vision, that's amazing. Just the fact that you can, find that sympathy and empathy to those topics and find out people that is willing to do the same like you, to quit their jobs and follow you in this craziness. That's amazing. So I guess no matter how difficult those comments are, you will always have more people weighing on your favor than to turn you down.
I guess we've covered quite a lot of ground. Is there anything else that in your story that you feel like you want to share, or sort of words of advice for people who might want to be starting their own social enterprise and don't quite know where to start?
I think the most important thing that the most important piece of advice is that it's good to be positive and set your expectations really high, because it pushes you to go far, but just don't be that hard on yourself, because this is people who manage to get things on the ground. They didn't do it overnight. I always tell people that I work with or that I talk to, I didn't start at B-Girl last year. B-Girl has been growing since like 2011, 2012 that I started doing all this work. And certainly we had a team, and certainly you grow the family, but these things don't happen overnight, and they take a lot of strength. So if you're really passionate about something, it will be easier to stick to your guns and make it happen. But if you're not willing to take the heat, don't even try, because you're going to be burned out and gone in less than a year. So make sure that you pick something that you're passionate to your core, and it's kind of like, do or die type of feeling, because you will see yourself in many situations that's kind of like the visceral feeling that you will get of that, like, I'm gonna do it or this, or otherwise I'm dead. I am in a job or in a work where I use my design skills and my profound passion for girls. Like, I love girls. I love education. I am who I am, Joanne, just because I happen to have the chance to study. I got on a scholarship that it was intended for kids from rural areas in red zones in Colombia, like, very conflictive zones that were very bright but had no means to go to college. So I know firsthand what is it to have the chance to study and be able to do something out of your future just because of that. So for me, through my work, being able to guarantee at least in the very basics that a girl has the means to go to school without the feel of panic and how horrible it is to have a blood stain on your uniform, for me it's my whole world. I mean, the fact that I can do whatever I can to make sure that I level the playing field for them, it's a work experience. It's something that it goes beyond myself. It's something that I'm willing to give everything for. So yes, I did find my passion.
I love it. I knew this conversation would be hugely energizing just listening to you talk about it. So really want to thank you for taking the time. Thanks for joining us on Leading Change. Learn more about Diana, this podcast, and Plus Acumen's work at plusacumen.org. That is PLUSACUMEN.org.